Well, I want to welcome everybody to a very special version of our Team Unlimited Elevation Call. This is Lisa Bell Henson, and it is October 20th, and we have a very special guest tonight, Luis Caceres from our home office. Luis entered my life about 18 months ago, maybe a little bit more than that, at my very lowest point in Zilis, and we had been through um, a lot of disappointment, a lot of heartbreak. And Luis came on the scene with his smile and his energy and his care and professionalism. And he and Christy Klinger, our COO, literally rebuilt our faith in this company and created an amazing product that we are so excited to officially be able to introduce to the world. And I asked Luis if he would just join us tonight and answer just a few questions and then be able to field some more questions. And so, Luis, thank you for being here on a Sunday evening. And we're excited that our global director of sales would choose to hang out on Elevation Call tonight.
Oh no, thank you. And I can say the same thing. You guys entered my life about 18 months ago, and it was very special. You guys were the first couple that I met here at Zilis, so it's an honor to be hanging out with you guys tonight. So yes, I hope the questions are not that hard, Lisa. I didn't prepare for questions, but I'm completely open. So fun to see everybody. Hi, Marsha. Hi, Susan. So great to see you guys. Chef Sharon. Linda, Carlita, Jean, how are you, Jean? See you. So good to see all of you guys. I saw Dr. Todd and Jenny were driving, so thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I know that we have talked in advance. We have really appreciated your honesty, your transparency, really through this whole transition. And Hal and I had an opportunity to talk to you and Christy, as we often do. And you guys really just gave us some great information about how bright the future is with Solis. And so I was, really wanting to know a little bit more about really everyone here, has a job, has a calling, has something that they're working on right now. And so my question was really, why would somebody with a job be interested in the News Elise business
Mm.
platform?
Oh, nice. Yeah, great question. Um, well, I think being a part-timer in in our industry, it's a blessing. When I started in the industry, I don't think no one I've ever met went full time when I first started in the industry. Everybody started part time, and it's a beautiful place to be when you're part time, just because you can really dictate what you want to do. At first, when my wife and I started, my wife, she didn't like the fact that she had to work a full-time job and be away from the kids. So she was a massage therapist here in Dallas. If you know anything about massage therapy, you can't do more than 4 or 5 massages, especially her working with a chiropractor. But to make sure we were covering all of our bills, she had to, right? So when we were presented to an opportunity similar to Celise, our goal was never to have a mansion and have the cars. It was, hey, can we make enough to cover what Kaylee's bringing so she doesn't have to work full time? And that's how most people that I've met and that are having success here at Tilly's or other companies is how they do it part time. So one of the things that my wife is very passionate about is homeschooling. We understood homeschooling when we started in the industry. I was traveling a lot, and my wife didn't want to send our kids to public school. So she started doing research, and Haley has been the director of our homeschooling program for the last 8 years. And because we started in the industry 14 years ago, it allowed her to find her passion, and she continues to work on her passion. So I've met many people that here in Celis as well that continue to follow their passion. I know Hal just recently wrote a book, and I think that's the freedom that Celis offers people. I think we're in a very beautiful time and space because, as you guys know, we have new ownership. As of October 1st, Angie Thompson is the owner of the company. Totally ownership. And I know some of you guys are new, or you may not know the history behind it. And I don't know how much we'll get into that. But as an owner, the beautiful thing that she's saying is like, hey, how can we empower the people that are here so they can go expand on their passion? How can they go find their passion? Because if I'm honest, when Kaylee and I started in the industry, we didn't have a passion. We were just working the routine. We were working what we knew how to work. And then she was able to find her passion, right? She was able to find that, hey, like I really want to be involved with my kids. And if that means I'm gonna start a homeschool program that grew from 6 families to now over 70 families, it's really neat to see, because it was an opportunity like this one that allowed her to find it. So to me, if someone's starting today and saying, hey, I just want to, I don't know what's going to happen. I had this conversation just with my neighbor just a few minutes ago. She was telling me how concerned she's with the economy, how concerned she's with the recession that she believes is going to happen next year. Election, it starts early. Early voting starts next week. It's going to be next month. So there's a lot of questions in people's minds, and what I love about what we do with Zilis is that it allows you to have that plan B. I've always been a believer that you should have a plan B. And for some people, Zilis will become their plan A. If you were around 2020, I hated the word pivot. People had to pivot and like find. I hated that word because it forced all of us to recognize that, hey, the world as we know it is changing and it continues to change. And for someone that's here and may be working in their job, that's their passion, hey, that's great. Is that covering the cost that you, or the salary you thought you have, or maybe it's the time, right? It's the time freedom that you're looking for. So it allows you to work from your phone. Like truly, it gives you the freedom to be able to work from your phone anywhere. We are virtually, I'm seeing you guys currently. I'm making eye contact with you guys. Who would have thought that even 4 years ago we didn't have that? So I think now with technology and the tools that we're bringing in, because as the old Zilis died, I told this to Lisa, and it sounded harsh. The old Zilis died September, and the new Zilis started October 1st, and it's really neat that we get to write that story with you guys and with an owner that's literally saying like, hey, I trust you. I trust you leaders, and Lisa, and how I trust you corporate team, go make it happen. So it's a very beautiful end of the year, because it's a new chapter that we're starting to write with the leaders and the people that are here today.
Well, I love that, Luis. And, one of the disturbing trends that we've seen is that some network marketing companies have really sold out to an affiliate model. And so, we, for a long time, really didn't know what the future was with Zilis. But when I talked to you and Christy on Friday, you said the future is really, really bright. And I know you can't tell us everything, but could you give us some indication of what you're talking?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we are we are very vocal about what we're leaning into, and we're really leaning into the field. We're really leaning into you guys. We are not um, leaving the channel. I think Angie, if you know her story, and you're gonna get to hear her story more and more as she becomes more involved with everything that we're doing. She was born in this channel. She knows this channel well. Bo, Christy, and I have been in the channel for many years, and we love that we empower people with their health, and that's number one. I think that's very important, that we want to keep innovating. Dr. Todd and Jenny are part of the MAB, and I was able to join last Friday, and just hearing the ideas on how we're going to innovate, not only in the CBD area, but outside of it. It's really exciting for me, because we do have a very powerful product line. But at the same time, we have very powerful products coming in 2025, really early 2025, that I know are going to get to the masses through you guys. It's not going to be through digital selling. It's going to be through people. And I'm not allowed to say a lot of where we're going with our product line, but we're going to be showing you guys a timeline here in the coming weeks of what's to come. And as we build this narrative, the council, it's a very key piece to this, because we don't want to create just a product line that we think is going to be powerful. We want to get with people in the field to help us craft a story and create the products, like Dr. Todd, Carrie, Lisa, how are part of that rewriting of the product side. On the business side, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Obviously, if you haven't seen the bonuses that we're writing right now and creating, are to impact the economy of each individual in Zilis. One of the things that we've been doing with Bo is really studying what other companies are doing in the space and what companies outside the space are doing to really offer the average American a way to change the narrative. I was looking at some numbers, and I don't know if I can share my screen.
Hang on, just
If you
Luis.
all, yeah,
I'm gonna make you a host.
awesome.
Okay,
So
your host.
I'll just share some numbers with you guys that I found interesting, and I was talking with some leaders from this area, so don't judge me because I just chose these 3 states, but 76% 76% of Americans are living check to check, and that's a reality. I didn't make up that number. It's real. It's out there. 1 out of 3 people from Texas. I'm from Texas, so we'll focus on Oklahoma and Arkansas are more than 180 days late on a bill. Only 0.01% of Americans paid over 1 million last year. So I share this because as we talked about Zilis, yes, we have an incredible product line. We have an incredible community. I'm here because I love working with people, and I choose to work with people like Lisa and how I choose to work with Angie and Bo. But at the same time, I see these numbers, and it excites me that I can have an impact on my community. I can have an impact in my country. As I was talking to my neighbor, very successful businesswoman, she's concerned. She's concerned as to what's going to happen with the economy. And she has put all her savings into this business that may be completely turned upside down depending on what the election goes, right? She was telling me, hey, like if it goes this way, man, I may be shutting down my business. If it goes the other way, depending what they do, man, it may be a good year next year. And as I think about that, like we are in a company that allows you to help people with their health, but also impact their economy. So that's a number that excites me. When I see the numbers that are starting to be paid out with Zilis, and if you've been with us for the last year, you have seen pay increments, and they're going to continue to go up. And it's not going to be to the ones that don't work, right? Like it's definitely rewarding the right behavior, rewarding the people that are out there sharing, rewarding the people that are coachable and teachable. So I think I want to share that statistic, just because for me it's what we see from a company. Hey, how can we empower people to go share, right? And yes, we can invest a lot of money. We were being pitched a software and an app last week, and it was going to be a lot of money, and Angie was like, hey, let's do it, right? Like if you guys think it's great, let's do it. But then with Bo, we're like, hey, we can use that percentage of money and allocate it for a bonus that's going to impact the leaders check in Christmas. So we decided to say no, right? Because our biggest focus in the next 90 days is to, I jumped on when Lisa was saying, hey, I want to come home from corporate America. It's like, hey, that is our job. Like, with confidence, we can say that. We can say that if someone's coachable and teachable, if they follow the system, and we may not have all the answers, right? I may not have all the answers, but I truly feel like we have put people around us that can help us. As you have met Bo, it's incredible. Krista Klinger, the council, it's an incredible group. So with confidence, I can say that the checks, as you know them, are going to continue to increase. The product line, as you know it, is going to continue to improve. The culture and the community, I don't think that's going to change as much, if I'm honest, because I do believe we have an incredible community. We have an incredible group of people, amazing people, that have said, "Hey, we're gonna be here for the long run," and I'm excited to see what 2025 has to offer for all the families in this zone.
Those are some really powerful stats, Luis.
Yeah.
Really sobering as well, and I think we've all felt that. Welcome, Hal.
Thank you.
Hal's just joining us. Speaking of work, doing your passion, it's been fun watching Hal with not just his book, but with the recovery work he's doing with the homes. And I wanted just to kind of pause a minute and just see if anybody else has a question or a comment that they would like to share.
Especially for Luis.
Or Luis, of course.
Hey, Gene, what does your shirt say? Never give what? Never give up? What shirt is that? Oh, I like it. Nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna have some more made.
There you go.
Mine says,
Oh.
mine says, pet hair don't care.
There you go.
Sorry.
I have a question.
Hi, Linda. Tell me.
Hi, Luis. Thank you for being here. I just want to know, what have you found to be the best defense or way to overcome certain objections to the product, maybe the price, or when you find people that give you their numbers and you call them and they don't answer? What has been your best what do you call it? Not procedure, but best method of handling that type of rejection? I don't have a problem with rejection. It's just that when it's so much of it and you have a whole line of people and they all seem to be doing the same thing. So I was just wondering, how do you handle those type of things?
Yeah. I always prepare myself to receive a no. That's one of the things that we quickly found out that the more no's that I got, the closer I was to a yes. And if I'm truly honest, I had a chicken list that I didn't want to go to. I did everything wrong at the beginning. I went and I put a news ad on a Hispanic newspaper here in Dallas because I said, you know what, I'm gonna go after that market. I got tons of calls, hundreds of calls, people calling me. Didn't get one sale. Then I said, okay, I'm gonna get a business card printed, and I went to the Galleria Mall here, and I walked in the middle of summer, put hundreds of business cards out. And then I was getting no, or people would just hang up, couldn't get to the next level of like a yes. And when I finally went to my mentor and I said, hey, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, everybody seems to say like, oh, that's either a scam or the products are too expensive or you're crazy, right? And he said, hey, have you sat down with your friend or your family, like your closest friend, someone that you will call in the middle of the night and they will answer, and have gone through the process of doing a presentation? I was like, not really. So I learned that the best way to getting an educated no was setting an appointment. Because when I got really good, and my wife was the one that got really good at setting appointments, just setting appointments. And I will get someone like Lisa to be who I pointed to. So I never talked with people. I learned not to talk with people on the phone about the product or the business. I never gave information. I got to a point that I wasn't even telling them what I was doing. I was just calling them saying like, I see Susan. Hey, Susan, I'm doing something with my wife that we're excited about. Do you have time tomorrow at 5 or Tuesday at 5 so we can come over and we can chat? And most people will want to know, right? Like, well, what is it? What is it that you're doing? And I will always say, like, hey, I'm learning a lot about it. I would love for you to give me the opportunity to explain to you in person, because I think I have some samples to give you. I have some cool things that I want to gift you. If you give me 20 minutes of your time, Kaylee and I will come over and talk to you about it. What's crazy is that if I got on someone's living room, I was 90% more effective. I still got no's. I still got people saying no. I still got people that said no, it's too expensive. I still have people saying like CBD, no, those are drugs, get out of here. I still got no's, but I was more effective at getting an educated no, right? Like I would still get no's, but at least I had the opportunity to introduce to someone like Lisa, right? Because I'm really good at pointing at the leader. I'm really good at saying like, I don't know, but they know. And at times I did know, at times I didn't know how to answer, but I still wanted that new person. I was always thinking this new person could be my diamond. This new person could be my diamond. I never saw someone and thought they're going to be a product user. I always saw them as the potential that someone saw in me. And, because someone saw the potential in my wife and I always thought about that. So sitting with someone across from someone makes it a lot easier, right? Now, if someone is telling you, hey, the product is too expensive, I can't afford it. I always, I will always ask them with a question. It's like, hey, what is your health worth to you? Because I had a grandfather that died, and I was like telling someone, September is very sad for me because it's it's my birthday, but it's also when my grandfather passed from cancer. So and I saw how my grandfather, he was a smoker. He drank when he was younger, and he worked in asbestos here in Dallas, and had just a horrible death with cancer. Like they cut like 2 inches of his throat. Like they did so much, right, to try to save my grandfather. So health for me, it's important. So when people will tell me, well, the products are too expensive, it's like, hey, what is your health worth? Like hearing all the testimonies that we have with Zilis, it'll be crazy for me to think that $150 bottle is too expensive. I go down to Latin America, and I hear that a lot, because $70 in the US is $150 in Latin America. It's double, right? And I was in Latin America, and this lady was telling her health story with Amalaki and what it did for her. And 70, I think for her it was like $70, $75 the bottle, and or for the month of Amalaki, and she was having to get creative to come with the money, right? Like she was having to pick up extra shifts at work. She was having to do mini garage sales, but because she saw the benefit in the product, so when she saw the value of the product, it was almost like, okay, it's not expensive. Now that's gonna take someone to try the product. So if you can get someone to take the product and have a product experience, then the price, overcoming the price is easier, right? Because if you have someone try dream, and they have an incredible night's sleep, it's going to be really hard for them to come back to you and say like, oh, man, that was too expensive. So getting in front of people, I would say, is one. Number two, getting product into people is number two, because if you can make someone feel good, and I think our products make people feel good, they feel it immediately. And then now it becomes, say, hey, I can help you figure out how to get the product for free, because that's another avenue that we're going with in Zilis, and that's something that Lisa and How are helping us craft. It's like, how can we truly tell Linda, hey, Linda, I know the products are expensive, but they are worth it. I'm gonna show you a way where you can get your product for free. And that's something else that we're gonna be rolling out here in the next 60 days, where someone is gonna get their product for free, because we know, products are powerful. We want to give them away. And that's one of the things I love about Angie, that she's like, hey, I want to get all of the product. I want to get as much product into people's bodies because I know they're going to do wonderful things for them. So it's going to be easier for them. So I hope that helps, Linda. You know, I think even the people that told me no, when I went back to them and said, hey, I did a disservice to you. I didn't honor what I'm doing, because I always thought about our journey, right, with our products and what it did to my wife and what they did to us. So I will go back to people and say, like, hey, I messed up. You know, I should have had Lisa explain the products to you because she's the product expert of their business. And a lot of times when I went to people and say, like, hey, I messed up, will you give me a chance to better explain? I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to educate you in what has done so many wonderful things for me. That also helped me, because at the beginning, you know, we all go through that list and we all wish we go back. And sometimes we believe, oh, I can't go back to her. I can't. She told me she doesn't have the money. And I don't know if, Linda, have you seen Bo's the looking zone training that he does?
I do.
Yeah, that's one of my best. I've stolen that training so many times because it is true.
Right.
You know, there's people that if you catch them at the wrong time, they're gonna say no. You know, so it's your job to follow up, and you know, it's, you hear, right, the millions are made in the follow up, and I truly believe it's not there. It's because we're going through different journeys in our lifetime, and who I was a year ago is not who Luis is now. You know, like I go in and out of the looking zone, so I always keep that in mind when I'm getting no's, and because I'm like, hey, yes, there's going to be people that are not looking, you know, and may never get to that looking zone. My job is to try to get them to sit in person with me, try to get products in their body, because if I can get products in their body, then we can talk about product. My one of my really good friends opened up his 8th restaurant here in Dallas. He's always come up with crazy concepts. The first concept he came up with was it's called a biscuit bar. And when I met him, I met him through the industry. He was a diamond in a previous company, and he, you know, his wife was the one that hit diamond, and he was the cheerleader. And I remember meeting him, and it was 2017. He told me about the concept of the biscuit bar, and he said, hey, you know, the biscuit bar, a biscuit, the cost of producing a biscuit for me is like a penny, right? But if I put fried chicken in it, man, I could sell it for $15, right? And I was like, that's crazy, Jake. And he was telling me the concept, and he was trying to get funding, and he was trying to get investments. No one was biting. Well, he found this one guy that said, hey, I'll invest with you. I'll go in with you. He started the biscuit bar. I believe now he's in his 7th biscuit bar. Papa John, interesting enough, Papa John, the owner of Papa John's, was flying in this week to meet with him so they can franchise outside Texas. Just crazy story, right? Through the industry, allow him to do that. He opened up his new concept, which is the kickback. The kickback. It's a Tex-Mex and barbecue, and it's infused, right? It's a marriage of barbecue and Tex-Mex. And he said, hey, barbecue is expensive. If you go eat barbecue, you won't get out of barbecue without spending $100, right? He's like, if I do a Tex-Mex and barbecue, and I'm talking a lot about food. Maybe I'm hungry. You know, if you marry the two, I can decrease the cost from an operating perspective, and I can pass it on to the consumer. He wasn't getting any bites. No one was buying. Like the investors that he had, even for the biscuit bar, seeing how successful the biscuit bar has been, they were like, no. So he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use one of the biscuit bar chefs. I'm going to hire them to come create the menu concepts that I have in my mind, and then I'm going to get investors to come in. You know, he did that. He didn't tell them the portfolio of what he was going to carry. He didn't tell him where he was looking to opening up this restaurant. He just had him over, and he presented this new menu. They tried him. Within a week, he had the funding to go open his restaurant. And what I learned from that, as he was telling me, is like, man, like, you know, sometimes we have the vision in our mind. We know where we're going. We clearly see where I want to be with Zilis in a year. I clearly see what these products are going to do for me. someone new may not have the vision or may not even think about where they can go because they've been so hurt in life where they can't even see where they could be in their health or in their business, because I see it all the time. I see it all the time when I meet with prospects where I tell them what the product can do for them, and they do not believe. It's not that they don't believe in the product; they just don't believe in themselves. When I talk about the business and I can tell them the potential that they can have here in Zilis, they can even see straight, right? Like they can even. So I'm very. I guess what I'm trying to say is like if you get product into people's lives, they still may tell you it's too expensive, and it's my job as a corporate team to equip you where it's easier for you to overcome those decisions. We're rolling out, we are creating something really neat where our target starting point will be $25. So this is something we're very aggressively working on where I can invite someone like Susan and say like, hey, Susan, I have a 5-day trial. It's $25. Here you go. Try it. Because we're confident if Susan tries a product for 5 days, she's going to come back and she's going to be like, hey, I want more, right? Like I need more of these products. So that's something else we're doing as a company where, and then the cool thing that we're doing too is that once Susan is in,
You know what I'm saying?
it's not Linda's responsibility to keep Susan in or upsell Susan. It's my responsibility as a corporate team to equip Linda and give all the tools to upgrade or upsell Susan, but it's also my responsibility to directly communicate with Susan where I can help her customer journey be easier and help her make a decision faster. So we are going to be rolling that too here soon. I think we told Lisa on Friday about this, which I'm very excited about. A starting point where, the last thing I'll say about this, inflation is real. I mean, I think it's hit everyone the same. Everyone is feeling it. So we see it too from a corporate perspective. How can we still propose a value or have a value proposition for that customer where they see value in our products, right? And we truly believe that a lower entry point is always great, so they can take the product and taste the product. So yeah, I hope that helps, Linda.
That helped. Thank you so much.
Luis, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi.
remember when we were doing the tracks and we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about being a sharer? Is this kind of what we're talking about? Because I'm good. I love sharing the products with other people. And are we going to have different things? Because we talked about the pathways. Can you talk about that? Because I have some people, more customers than I do business builders. We're working on it, but I'd rather collect people as my thing, but because just to help them, to feel better and to have hopefully at least half the experience that I've had in my life with Zilis. So can you talk about, is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll still have one of the things that I love when we met with the leadership team and we came up with the word empowerment, because we're not going to be a company that's going to put you in a little box and tell you this is who you have to be, right? I think what I love about what we have here at Zilis is that we're going to empower each individual to find their own journey and pathway. And if for you, it is just, sharing the products. Hey, that's great. That's great. We're gonna give you tools that it's gonna make it easier for you. And if that person comes in and they say, hey, you know what? I want to be more than a sharer. I want to learn about the community. Hey, there's gonna be a pathway for them. So yes, that is exactly the DNA we want to have. We want to have a company that truly empowers the individual and doesn't see each individual as the same. And I don't know if that makes sense. And I don't know how much I can share on the pathways as well, but that's part of it for sure.
No, I love that because I can do great with people, and then technology, not quite so much, and so, but I also have people on, right now my son comes in and he does my technology for me, and Gene has his thing, and Rhonda and Mary, they're amazing and they know about the product. So, and it's fun to get together and use everybody's strengths. So I love that. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
For sure.
Awesome. I love this conversation. Any other last questions or comments for Luis?
I have a question for Luis.
I
First of all, I can't wait for you to come to Arkansas next month. I want to meet you, and it's going to be so fun. I'm taking off work because I work evenings, and so
Awesome.
I will be there, ready to meet you. You were talking about yourself and your wife starting as part-time, and I work full-time, and I'm doing my best to try and make time each day to do something for my Zilis. I want to retire. Okay. I'm sick of working for other people. Any advice that you have for those of us who still have to work 40-hour, 50-hour week on what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, what's interesting, I'm so excited to meet you, Carlita. And going and helping you. And one of the things that I realized when we started with Kaylee was that we had time, we just didn't know how to manage the time. And for a long time, I had seen people that were busy be really successful in this. And like it always like drove me crazy, because it's like, how is someone that's so busy so successful? And I remember sitting down with my mentor, and he said, "Hey, Luis, the battle, and I remember when he sat me down, he even drew it, and he wrote down, the battle is won in the cracks of time." Right. And I was like, what does that mean? His name was Jeremy. It's Jeremy. I still have a good relationship with him. And I said, what does that mean, Jeremy? Like, I don't understand. He's like, well, you can plan your day, right? If you work 8 hours, you can plan that you're going to work your Zilis business for an hour in the middle of the day. Be prepared for your day to be thrown off, right? There's always going to be an emergency at work. There's always going to be a traffic on it's never going to be like you plan it out. So be prepared for, in the cracks of time, to build your business. And what does that mean? It's like, hey, there's always going to be a slot in your day when you have 10 minutes, and you can consciously make the decision of going across where your coworker is and having that cup of coffee with him and conversate with him, or you can choose to work on your business. You're going to have to fight the temptation of going to Facebook, going to Instagram for those 10-15 minutes that you have, and you're going to have to fight the temptation and go use this business. And I was like, well, Jeremy, what am I going to do in 10 minutes? Like 10 minutes doesn't allow me to do. How many calls can you do in 10 minutes? And he's like, how many calls can you do right now in 10 minutes? I was like, well, not many. 1, 2. He's like, let's put it to a test. So he said, get your list. And then he was big on having your list. You always had to have a list. And, I pulled my list, and he said, let's see how many people you can call in 10 minutes. I was like, oh, I hated that. Like, I was like, okay, you put me on the spot. So I got my phone. It's like, all right, call this person. Call them. And we had a script, because like Bo, I don't know if you've heard Bo's Next Level Training, he gives you like actual wording on what to say, right? Like, and I'll be like, hey, let's say I was calling Gene. Hey, Gene, I was calling you. I'm going to get into a meeting, but I wanted to call you because tomorrow I would like to come over and tell you what Kaylee and I are doing. We may think we may be making some money here in the next couple of months. We may not, and we want to tell you about it. Are you free tomorrow at 5 or Tuesday at 5? And then Gene will say, like, what is it? It's like, hey, Gene, I'm walking into a meeting. I can't tell you all the details, but are you free tomorrow at 5 or Tuesday at 5? Right? And we were trying to get off the phone, and then I realized I did like 4 or 5 calls, right? In those 10, 15 minutes, I understood, like, oh, wow. Like, yes, the battle is won in the cracks of time. And then 6 years later, the company I was working with, we did $1 billion within 2 years of that company, and like we got to $1 billion in sales and massive success. They start hiring personal coaches, and they ask everybody, hey, who would like a personal coach? And I was the first one to raise my hand. I was like, hey, I want a personal coach. And then my wife was like, why would you need a personal coach? And I was like, well, I want to learn. Like, I want to see what they teach me. And, they had it was like 6 months of training. But the biggest takeaway I took from them was this, and I'll show you, and I still do it. And it costs a lot of money to have a personal coach. I didn't pay for it. They paid for it. So I'm glad I raised my hand. It was plan your day before your day begins, and again, right? Like if you, before 8 p.m. every night, I write down my to-do list. And, I plan my schedule. I look at my calendar for the next day and I plan it as if it was a perfect day. And the next day, I stick to my schedule. I stick to my workout. I stick to my calling. I stick to the meetings. And it's on paper, because when you write it down, I don't know, you can see it, my to-do list. And I still love the highlighting, I accomplished something. There's something about it that some people do it on the phone, on their apps. That's great. For me, I learned to do it on paper. So planning your day before your day begins, planning that your day is not going to be perfect, and fighting for those cracks of times, because you can get a lot accomplished in 30 minutes. You can get a lot it'll make you more effective when you have a full-time job. That's what I noticed. When people have a lot of time in their hands, it's almost like they overthink what they should be doing, or it's like, I gotta do that, I gotta call this person, I gotta do that meeting. But when you can, where you're 8 hours in a job, or you're busy all day and you only have 30 minutes, it's almost like refreshing. Okay, I'm only going to do this for 30 minutes. And then the repetition makes it easier. So yeah, and the fact that if you have a job, it's a place where you're always constantly have to be listening, not selling, and when you have a job, a lot of people think like, well, I'm gonna sell to my coworkers, I'm gonna sell to the people I work with. And actually, it's a place where you listen. Like I was constantly listening. Who's complaining about their boss? Who's complaining about their pay? Who's complaining about whatever it is, right? Because then if you hear someone complaining, they are in the looking zone, right? So that gives you an opportunity. I never recruited someone on the spot on my job. I always listen, and then I will reach out and be like, hey, Lisa, I heard you don't like your corporate job. They are driving you crazy. I may have a solution for you. Would love to come over tomorrow at 7 p.m. and tell you and your husband about what we're doing with Kaylee, right? And that way, they say like, no, you're crazy, I'm fine. I'll be like, oh, okay, my bad. I just thought you hated your job, right? Or I thought you were looking for better sleep. Or, so listening is very important in your place of work, because it allows you to continue to feed your list. Because your list, at the beginning when you start, it's easy to write 100 names, right? 50 names. And then there gets a point where you're like, oh, my list, I don't have anybody on my list. But if you are a good listener, even at church today, I was talking to a friend, and he was telling me about like how his position at his company is changing, and he really liked what he was doing. And I asked him, have you ever thought about like a second income, or a side gig? And he's like, oh, no, I will never do. He knows what I do. He's like, I'll never do what you do. And I just laughed. I was like, hey, I'm not saying, because like he already in his mind, he assumes he knows what I'm doing, but he doesn't, right? Like, so he's not ready. He's not in the looking zone. I was like, okay, Miguel is not in the looking zone. He's outside the looking zone. So I hope that helps.
Hey, Luis.
Yeah.
Real quick, when you're listening to your people at work talking, complaining about their wages, complaining about this, complaining about that, do you really want that negativity in your group?
Well, actually, great question. If you think about it, we are all being taught to be good employees, right? We've all been taught to be good employees. We've never been taught to be great business owners. So as I hear someone that's negative at my place of work, let's say, I know I'm seeing them as the potential business owner, as the potential leader they could be. I'm not judging them by what they are now, because I know I almost now, as you grow, right, in your leadership skills, you know, like everybody has the potential to become something greater than what they are. So I don't even see it as a negative. I just remember like, hey, we've have all been brainwashed to be great employees, you know, and we hate it at times. I know I hated there's been jobs that I've hated in the past that I'm like, I don't want to be here, but I've been brainwashed and wired to be a great employee. So I always see them as the potential, because again, like someone saw me, like I know for me when I have my first mentor, like I don't know what he saw in me, but now I understand that he saw the potential in my marriage. He saw the potential as a leader. He saw the potential. He didn't, you know, because I still complain, Gene. I still complain all the time, right? Back in the day. But he saw me as what I could be. So when I hear someone complaining, and there's right reasons to complain, right? Like, you know, we just talked about the economy, right? And how inflation is a real deal, you know, and salaries are not keeping up with the inflation. So as I hear them, I know I have a solution. I guess that also is what I think. I have a solution for you. I have a solution for your health. I have a solution for your sleep. I have a solution for your energy. So that's how I think about it. You know, and I also learn not to prejudge, like, okay, there's potential there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great question, Luis. And we're just wrapping up. I think, let's see, we might have one more question. Let's see. Yep. This is from Mary. She says,
Okay.
I work with one person as a caregiver, and she's very limited with social interaction for various reasons. She wants to do events to get the word out about Zilis, the Lachey, the topical, the happy coffee. What is the best way to go? Ideas and views about somebody who has limited social interactions.
You know, I think even this, right? Like making an appointment, I'll always go back to, if you can book an appointment, even if it's virtual, your odds of them trying the product, starting the business will increase, right? Because even if you're limited and you can't be in person, which is, it's prime, right? Like it'll be the best way. You can still book an appointment where I can say like, hey, Cynthia, I would love for you to jump on this, you know, virtual call. Dr. Todd is going to be teaching about, I don't even tell him the product name or the company's name. I said like, you know, a sleep product that's helped me tremendously. Will you be available to jump on tomorrow at 7? So you still are booking an appointment. You still are booking an appointment to see them in person, in virtual, not in person, but in virtually, and it's still educating, because I think most of the time, where you're gonna also get a lot of wins is by educating people. And the best way of educating people is if you book an appointment where, you know, I have 4 kids, right? And if someone was to call me and if Hal was to call me and say like, hey, Luis, wanted to call you, you know, I've been taking this product and it's amazing. And he just goes on the product. And I have baby Jersey that needs a diaper change. Jovi and Joss are climbing the chicken coop. Juju is riding his skates down the street. It doesn't matter if the product cures cancer, right? Like I'll be like, how, like, no, I'm not interested. Bye, right? But if Hal was to call me, it's like, hey, Luis, I know you're busy. You have 4 kids. Listen, Lisa and I are taking these products that have helped me with sleep. Are you available tomorrow to jump on a virtual call so I can tell you all about it? I'll be like, hey, yeah, tomorrow at 7 works. We don't have soccer, or I'll be at soccer, you know, but I can jump on. So again, there's using the same strategy. Booking the appointment is what's gonna help you win. And going back to what I was telling Carlita, if I know my schedule for the next day, if I've already planned my day before my day begins, it makes it a lot easier because I already know the times that I have available the next day. So you can still build an online business, you know, through your phone, through virtual. You can still sample products. You can still mail products. You can still book an appointment, and that's where it begins. Like, hey, what days am I available? What days is Lisa available to educate them on the product or the business? Or if not, what day am I available to show them a video, right? Text them a video and still booking an appointment. If I'm like, they were saying, I think it was Lorena was sharing that technology is not your strong suit. If you can't figure out how to start a Zoom and share a video, it doesn't matter. I can still call Gene and say like, hey, Gene, I have an incredible night product that I'm taking. It's helping me with my sleep. With 4 babies, it's hard for me to have a good night's rest. I would love to tell you all about it. If Gene says like, yes, I want to learn more, I'd be like, great. If I share a video with you, will you watch it? It's a 5-minute video that will describe the product, and I'll let him answer. If Gene says yes, I'll be like, great. What time will you be able to watch it? So even though I'm not good at technology, I can't jump on a virtual Zoom. I cannot go on Facebook and share a link. I can still figure out how to get that video link shared to Gene, and I'm still booking an appointment for Gene to watch that video. Because again, I don't want to send Gene the video and then having to be like, oh, I wonder if he watched it. Hey, Gene, did you watch it? And then they ghost me, right? But if I book an appointment, I say like, hey, can you watch it? If I send you a video, will you watch it? When will you watch it? And would it be okay for me to call you after you watch it? So even without knowing all the technology, how to use a virtual Zoom, you're booking an appointment to share the video and educate them on what the product is.
That was from Mary Barton. So thank you, Mary, for that. And I'm going to thank you so much, Luis. You have helped us an entire hour, and we appreciate you so much. We're just going to give you Zoom love here. And I'm going to turn it over to Hal and let him kind of close it out for us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Luis. Great training. I know we all learned a lot, and just your love for the company, us, your willingness to help us and jump on a Sunday night call. Did y'all know that he has 4 kids, by the way? And he's here on a Sunday night. Oh yeah, y'all know that. Okay. So I want to leave you.
4 kids and 12 chickens now.
12 chickens.
I don't know how. They keep multiplying. My wife is getting me. It's crazy. Lots of eggs though, which is good.
That's good. That's really good. All right. So I want to close it out tonight. There's some things that Luis said that made me think of a few things, and some of y'all's questions also. So I want to have you write down, if you're taking notes, I want you to write down a couple of words. The first is why. The second word is beget, B-E-G-E-T, beget. We're going to start with the word beget. Any of you all have read the King James Version of the Bible or anything like it, you've heard the word beget. So-and-so beget so-and-so. But there's a principle there. It's called the principle of reproducing what you are and what you have. All right? An apple will not beget an orange. All right? A sheep will not beget an alligator. So what you beget in your prospects and in your business is what you have, what you are. So, for example, fear begets fear. Doubt begets doubt. So if you have doubt, you're going to get doubt from other people. If you're doubting yourself, other people are going to doubt your message. So you have to work on your beget, who you are, what you are, and where you begin. So there's that. And then why? I'm going to give you something that hopefully will remove some fear so that your beget gives you something to have confidence. We want confidence to beget confidence. Confidence to beget confidence. So the why is, I'm going to give you, I've given it to you before. It is absolutely my favorite question in the world. Does anybody know what my favorite question is besides, Lisa, will you marry me? Does anybody know? Does anybody remember? Because I really want you to have these words exactly like I say it. Here is my favorite question in the world. The question is exactly this. Why do you say that? That's the question. Why do you say that? If you have the question, why do you say that? In your back pocket, in your mind, in your as a bullet in your gun to escape the fear of the moment, to get out of falling all over yourself. I don't care what anyone says to you. You can always ask the question, why do you say that? I don't have time. Well, okay, I get it. Why do you say that? Well, I've got 4 kids. One of the kids is running down the street chasing 12 chickens. The other one's doing this. Oh, I understand. Okay. Because when someone says you, oftentimes, if you have fear and doubt and they say, I don't have time, you just took that as what? They don't believe you. They don't trust you. You know, all those things that you're begetting. So you're trying to build your faith side. You're trying to build your confidence side. And a tool that I've had for a very long time, and I used it today, not with Zilis, but on an intake with a new guy in our housing. We'd been together about 45 minutes to an hour. And when I asked him the question, and I'm not going to tell you the details of what he was talking about, when I asked the question, well, why do you say that? He shared more about his personal beliefs about himself in the next 3 to 5 minutes, which were critically important for him to share with me, because I asked the question, well, why do you say that? And it had to do with his personal life, about his perspective of his father and his relationship with his father. So that question really can be used over and over and over again. It's very, very, very helpful. I'll tell you where I got it. I got it from a speaker tape that somehow fell in my hands in the mid-90s from a speaker from the Amway company in the 1980s. And he used that question, why do you say that? Over and over and over again. So I want to share that with you, but also just remember that whatever you have is what you're going to beget. So thank you, Luis, tonight for building our faith, our confidence, our belief, our tools, our hope for the future, some details and excitement, enthusiasm.
No, thank you. And one of the things I forgot to share, if I could share, and it's, you know, I know it's interesting because we are starting over as a company, but we're not, because there's so many chapters that have already been written in the past, you know, with people like you. And I truly believe it's a new chapter that we're writing. So I'm going to be traveling a lot in the next 8 weeks, because I think it's important. And I put up this graphic really quick before we started that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think it's really cool.
Here, let me get you back to
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
hosting.
So
okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So we are you know, going to be doing really, we haven't named it yet. There's been a lot of cool names thrown around about what the story is going to look like, but we are going to be traveling all over the US. And I know there's already been some pins put in the map. I know Arkansas is one of them. I know I'm going to go visit Dr. Todd and Jenny in Florida. I know Texas is going to have one, but this is just the beginning. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff all over the US in the coming months. So yeah, so get with Lisa where you need us. We're going to be, again, like, I can't sit here and, like I was telling you know, Linda, like, go get in front of people and tell them how wonderful our products are if I'm not doing it. So I'm gonna be hitting the road, and I'm gonna be helping you guys, Carlita, all of you guys, just hug you, hear your stories, and hopefully rewrite stories, because that's what we do here at Zilis. Like, we truly are ambassadors that help people rewrite their story. So I'm super pumped of what's to come here in Zilis. So sorry about that, at least I just forgot to show that one earlier.
That's exciting. Thank you.
That's very
Show the map.
exciting.
Very visual. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're super excited. So if you live in one of those states that don't have dots, you guys, let's get it going, man. We start in our backyard. We're starting in our backyard here in Northwest Arkansas, November 13th. Marcia Smith, I'm looking at you. She knows Buffalo, New York, baby. We want to do that before it gets too cold. Right. But thank you guys for being on, Luis. Thank you for just all that you've been to us this past 18 months, and for leading a very, very bright future that we are going to have legacy income, legacy opportunity, and legacy health for our families.
Just a real quick congratulations to Hal and Lisa, Carlita, who's number 8, Christina Durham, number 10, the Workmeisters, number 11, Todd's number 12 on the leaderboard as far as enrollments, and then Blue Angel Medical on the volume board so far this month through the 20th of the month. Congratulations, everybody.
And Sharon Michelle, thank you for your beautiful videos in English and Spanish about your papa.
Those were great.
Those were amazing. So lots of love to you guys. Luis, thank you again.
Thank you,
Good night,
guys.
everybody.
Good night,
Good
guys.
night. Bye.
Bye-bye.